What's going on, y'all? It's TCG here, back again with another episode of Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at Perona. You know her, you love her, Ghost Girl, Spooky Girl, Rest Your Characters Girl, -1 Girl, whatever you want to call her. This leader's really cool. It finally makes really good use of the green-black color combo. Unlike our past green-black leader, Isho, I think that they did it right with Perona, and this leader is actually very scary in the hands of a skilled player or against the right deck. I think that this leader has very many options and very many different ways to play her. And if you haven't checked out the Deep Dive series, the way that we do it is I show off a competitive topping list that has topped a tournament over in Japan, as well as a budget build that I built myself that we will feature on another video called Budget Builders, and it's usually the day after the deep dive. So if you're seeing this today, check back tomorrow for the Budget Builder Perona list and seeing that in action in some gameplay, and then also a fun list that I prepared myself as well. And stick around for the fun list for this one because I had some fun testing it the other day. Oh my god, it's hilarious. But before we jump into any of that, I want to shout out Dueling Guard. If you haven't heard of Dueling Guard, they're the best anime-inspired TCG accessories on the market. They make the highest quality TCG accessories such as binders, deck boxes, and playmats that you will find out there. I'm telling you, all the designs are beautiful, and if you haven't seen their products in person, you're really missing out. Make sure to go check out the link in the description to go to their website and use code GUMGUMTCG for a discount at checkout.
What? You haven't heard of Dueling Guard? Dueling Guard is the best TCG accessory company on the market. They have high quality deck boxes, binders, and playmats made for people who enjoy playing and collecting trading card games in style. They have tons of designs based off of fan favorite animes such as One Piece, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and many more. They hit the ground running earlier this year, making high quality TCG accessories with beautiful designs that have sold out many times. So if you haven't picked up any of their products, make sure to do so before they sell out again. I have a few deck boxes and playmats from them already and can attest to how they don't cut any corners when it comes to quality, performance, and design. I highly recommend their products and use them every time I play cards. Be sure to check the description below for a link to their site and use code GUMGUMTCG for a discount at checkout.
Alright, y'all, and without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the Perona leader. So if you don't know what this leader does, it's a 5,000 leader with 4 life, green and black, Thriller Bark Pirates typing. It has the effect that activate main. Once per turn, you choose one of the following effects. You either rest an opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less, or you give -1 cost to one of your opponent's characters. So you can either rest something or give -1 to help you then pop it later. This leader's very, very strong, like I said, with an inherent built-in anti-blocker device. It can be very difficult for some decks to play against this leader. As a queen player, I know that the Perona matchup is very difficult most of the time because half my deck is obsolete. Half my deck does nothing to this leader. So you have to play a little more aggressive and be a little more wary of that. But like I said, I think this leader really takes advantage of the synergy that black and green has together, being able to minus stuff and then also rest it or KO it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first list. Like I said, this is a competitive list. This won a championship series over in Japan. I believe it was 1,000 players, and it was a first place undefeated list. So off the bat, they're on 4 copies of X-Drake, the 5-cost 6k 1,000 counter from OP01. On play, KOs a rested 4 or less. I mean, this just goes hand in hand with the leader ability. You get to use it, and then you play the X-Drake, pop that card. Really, really strong inherently. Also with a 6k stat line and 1,000 counter, that just makes X-Drake really, really good in this deck. However, we do have another option or another version of this card that we're playing in the deck that we'll get to in just a minute. Next, we're on 4 copies of Don Quixote do Flamingo 10-drop as one of our top-end options. This card just being able to lock down 3 characters and or leaders is absolutely broken, and especially when you get to rest one of them for free. This card's a menace. If you get multiple of these dropped against you, you usually just lose the game. A very, very powerful card, and if you notice, we are actually on a small Don Quixote engine, if you will, with 4 copies of Rosinante blocker as well. This just being one of the best 2-cost blockers in the game. Honestly, probably the best small blocker that green has access to. I think this card's very, very strong. And of course, to be able to search our Don Quixote pirates, like I said, the kind of main part of this engine, if you will, is our baby 5. Being able to search our Rosinantes, our Doflamingos, as well as our Virgos and our counter event, that makes this card really, really good and just makes half the deck searchable. You know, it just puts in the work. So 4 copies of the baby 5 searcher, and then this is what I was talking about a minute ago with basically 4 extra copies of X-Drake in the deck. We are on 4 copies of Ryuma, the 4-drop 6k, no counter, but it has on play and on KO as well. So right when you play it and when it dies, you get to KO a rested 4 or less. That makes this card very, very strong. They don't really want to remove it. Like, your opponent does not want to beat this over in battle. The only way to really deal with it is to bottom deck it or bounce it back to hand, unless you want something popped. I guess if you don't have a 4 or less rested, this can't pop anything, but sometimes it can be hard to do that. So this card's really, really strong in this deck, and goes really well with this leader. Next, we are on 2 copies of Kuzan, just to get some extra draw power in there and extra minusing. This deck, we don't play very many minus tools. Like I said, we have the -1 for our leader, but not really playing too much else to minus other than Kuzan, some Suru and Tashigis, nothing else really minuses. So we're not really popping big things or getting rid of big bodies, kind of like Sakizuki does. This is definitely more of a mid-range deck that controls, puts up some blockers, controls the board, and then kills you late game with multiple big bodies. So having access to Kuzan to deal with those bigger bodies when you need to is definitely very good and helpful. But we're only on 2, like I said, I imagine just because we don't need it that often. And then, of course, for Suru, you gotta love this old lady. 1 drop, 0 power, 2k counter, on play gives -2. Gotta love it, and it's searchable. We are playing quite a few Navy cards because we are also on brand new, so we'll get there in just a minute, but having access to more searchability just makes this really, really strong. Speaking of searchability, we are on the best blocker in the game, Borsalino. 4 drop, 5k, 1000 counter, gains that 1000 buff on your opponent's turn and cannot be KO'd by effects. Very, very strong card. Gotta play it in this deck. Gotta play it in almost every black deck, honestly. This card's just phenomenal. And then we are on 4 copies of Virgo. So this is a new one that's starting to see play. Not really poked its head into the game too much before this, but because it is Navy and also Don Quixote Pirates, that means that we can grab it off of either of our searchers if we need a 2k. So very, very strong there. And then if you ever do need to put it on the field, it is a 5 cost with 5k, so I guess you can stick it. That's really bad stat wise, but it does have the effect of Dawn ×1. It cannot be KO'd by battle, so this thing's not leaving easily, not going down without a fight. Like I mentioned, we are on 4 copies of brand new. Have to be able to search some of our Navy cards and also fill up our trash, because we are also on 4 copies of Gecko Moria, which we'll get there as well. But before that, we're on 4 copies of Sabo, just another 5/6 blocker that helps you cycle your hand. You know, you get to draw 2 trash, 2, fueling that trash for Gecko Moria, as well as cycling out dead cards in your hand for certain matchups. Also being a blocker with 1000 counter just makes this card incredibly good. And then, like I mentioned, Gecko Moria, 8 cost, 9k. On play, chooses a 4 or less and a 2 or less and plays 1 active and 1 rested. Broken card, absolutely busted. There's so many things that you can pull out of your trash in this deck, whether it be a Ryuma, a Kuzan, a Borsalino, brand new, Tashigi, Suru, Rosinante, Baby 5. You can pull a lot of the cards back out of the trash with this leader and make a splash with it. Honestly, pulling back a Ryuma to pop something is really, really strong, and you can even do it rested because they don't want to beat this over in battle unless you're playing against a deck that has some other form of removal. Pulling this back rested is completely fine. However, most of the time you're going to want to pull back something like a Borsalino active. In my opinion, you would want to pull that back active just to have some extra defense, and then play something, I don't know, like a brand new to get an extra search. I think that's very, very good. And then we are on 2 copies of Tashigi to round out our 2Ks. That puts us at 10 2Ks total. A lot of our cards do have a 1K counter, so we are pretty good on the no counter cards. And to help supplement that as well, we are on 2 copies of the 0 cost green event that is searchable through Baby 5. This list is very well rounded, obviously very well versed, able to go undefeated in a 1,000-person championship event, and Perona is just very, very strong. I think the color combo works great, and if you haven't tested this leader out, I'd recommend testing out this competitive list if you're wanting to do well with this deck. At least use something like this as a starting point. that's why I really like to make these videos. I really like to give you a starting point for how to build a deck, whether it be one of my lists or a competitive topping list. I want to give you a foundation to help you succeed and do well in this card game. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the budget list right now. Alrighty, and here we are with the budget list. So if you've seen my budget builder series, we like to try and keep these lists under $50, and I believe that we did so very well today. I believe that this list is like under $30. You could definitely beef it up a little bit more if you want to, but like I said, for you budget players, I like to provide a starting point, a decent guide point from where to go, and I think that this is a good start. So kicking things off, we are still on quite a few of the same cards, but we're on a couple different ones to supplement more expensive bodies. So we're not playing our Gecko Morias because I know those will be expensive out of 06. We're not on the Borsalinos, and we're not on the Kuzans. We swapped those around for some other different things. To start, we're on 4 copies of X-Drake. These are about $2.50 a piece. So this will run you probably about $8 to $10. Doflamingos are about $4 to $5. So that's going to cost you another about $15 to $20. So we're looking about 30 there. I guess I underestimated. I didn't know their X-Drakes were a couple dollars. So we're going to be right around $30 to $50 on this. If you can get them at cheaper prices, maybe from your locals or a friend or something like that, trade for some of these cards. 4 copies of Rosinante, you know, these are rares. Every time I do these videos, I try to account for rares and commons being anywhere from 0 cents to 50 cents. So even if this is on the high end at 50 cents, it's another $2, another $2. We're on 4 Baby 5, skipped over that. We're on 4 Monet. This is another searchable blocker that on block rests a 4 or less, so this can help put in some extra work. It's like a Perona on your opponent's turn. You just get to block one of the rest one of their blockers or one of their other attackers. Really, really good on KO, or when blocking, sorry, not on KO. We're of course on 4 Ryuma. This is just a rare out of OP06, so you should be able to get your hands on that relatively cheap. 4 copies of Suru. I do know these are about $1. Ishos, I believe, are also about $1. We are on 3 copies of this. I just wanted to put some extra minus power in here just to help with your Ryumas and X-Drakes. Like I said, we're not popping too much, but having Isho on the field not only is a 9k body, and not only helps you control your opponent's hand size by making them pitch 2 cards if they have 6 or more in their hand, but Dawn times 1 on your turn, all your opponents get -3 to their cost. So that makes your leader effect be able to rest a 7 or less, and that makes your X-Drake pop a 7 or less, and your Ryuma pop a 7 or less rested. So that's really inherently strong there, and this is just another body that's an 8/9 to replace Moria and help you get a little bit more advantage against your opponent by ripping cards out of their hand. I think that this is a decent supplement. If you have another suggestion, definitely post it down in the comments below. But like I said, this is kind of just a baseline list for you to get started with, and then I'll give you some recommendations here in just a minute to help you flesh out the deck if you have a little bit more money to invest in it once you build it. We are on 4 copies of Virgo. I know that this is also an uncommon from 03, so these are probably 25 cents as well. Brand new is about 50 cents, I believe. Sabos, I think, are about like $5-6 right now, so that's another $10. Sun Goku is going to be your Kuzan replacement. This is like a 5-cost Kuzan that has 6k power and 1000 counter. It does the same thing when attacking, gives it -4. It just does not draw a card when you play it. So I think this is a decent budget option for Sengoku. Another replacement is Axan Morgan. I think it's just called Morgans or Morgan. I can't remember, but yeah, this does the same thing. Morgan, I believe, is a 4/5 that gives -3. So either one of those will work. I just like Sengoku a little bit better. I think that it's a better stat line, but let you choose your own. And then we're on 4 copies of Tashigi. Because we're not playing those good Borsalinos, I wanted to add in some more 2k, so I added 2 more Tashigi in here. And then we are also rounding it out again with the 0-cost green event. Like I said, this is the budget list. I believe that this list is competitive. Make sure to check back tomorrow for a video of us playing and testing it out, seeing if we can win a game or 2. Yeah, I'd say that if you do have extra money to invest into this leader and this list, I would recommend a couple cards. I'd recommend Gecko Moria from OP06. I'd recommend Kuzan 4 costs. I'd recommend Borsalino 4 costs, and I would recommend maybe even testing out Hody Jones. I know that Hody Jones is just a very strong green card, and if you can get your hands on it, maybe test it out in here. And honestly, I think that's about it. I think that that would help round out a list and be closer to something like that competitive list we just looked at. But speaking of list, how about we go ahead and go look at this dumb-ass list that I built the other day. All right, y'all, and this is it. This is going to be our fun list. I call it the big hit, the big swing, or the one punch, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you can call it the mill out list, because our goal with this list is, it's so dumb, but it's actually so hilarious. It's to mill as many cards as possible, and then to stick multiple Kumachis or Elizabellos on the field. Multiple Kumachis and then an Elizabello. If you don't know what these cards do, I'll go ahead and inform you. Elizabello II is a 4-cost 5k with 1,000 counter that says when attacking, once per turn, you may return 20 cards from your trash to your deck and shuffle. During this battle, this character gains double attack and 10,000 power. So he becomes a 15k attacker with double attack. That's just hilarious. And if you don't know what Kumachi does, he is a 2-cost 3k with 1,000 counter, Thriller Bark Pirates. Dawn times 2, your turn. For every 5 cards in your trash, this character gains 1,000 power. So our goal with this deck is to mill as many cards as we can and survive until we have maybe 30, 40 cards in the trash. We play like 2 Kumachis, we play like 2 Elizabellos on the field if we can. It's funny, you can grab both of these back off of Moria, and if you can protect them, then you should be set up for the next turn to clear the game out. But I was doing testing with this, and there was times where I'd have Kumachi at like 11,000 for just 2 Dawn under him, or 13,000 for 2 Dawn under him. Very, very funny. I put like all Dawn on him and made him like 21,000. But yeah, you make these really big, and then you swing with those to get all the counters and blockers out of the way, and then you swing with the Elizabello II to get your big swing with double attack in there and try to close out the game. I think this is hilarious, and let's just go over the list and I'll explain a little bit more. As a note, these fun lists I make are usually pretty goofy, kind of fun, joking lists, and this has been one of my favorite ones that I've made so far. By no means take this as this is a competitive build or anything. This is just for fun. If you want to build something stupid and have a good time on the sim or at locals, I'd recommend this. Maybe not on the sim. I was having trouble with Moria on the sim, resolving it. But in person, I think this list would be hilarious to take to your locals and try to troll some people with. But let's go ahead and look at the list. So we're on 4 copies of Trafalgar Law. Just being a blocker that picks something up and places it back down, we can do that with multiple things in our deck, whether that be a Rebecca to get an extra search and trashing extra cards as well, whether that is a Victoria to trash extra 5 cards, the Spider Monkey to trash an extra couple cards, the Penguin to draw 2 and trash 2. There's many different cards that we can do that helps fuel our grave and get us a little closer to our goal there, as well as establishing a body. Of course, we have to play Ryuma in this deck. Perona is not complete without playing this card. It just works too well. And you really have to play it in like every Perona list, in my opinion. I think it works just too well. So we're on 4 copies of that, as well as 4 copies of Sabo. Just fueling that trash. Also being searchable off of our Rebecca is very, very nice. Sticking multiple of these or multiple Law on fields can help you live for a very, very long time. And you really need to see these and the Laws to get some blockers on field. The one thing I was running into trouble with this list was the lack of 2Ks. We're only on 1 2K, and then we're on a couple counter events, and it can be very hard to survive against certain decks. But if you can stick some of these blockers, you should be fine. Like I said, it's a meme deck. It's a funny deck. Just have a good time with it. And Sabo is really, really good in here. Next, we're on 4 copies of Rebecca. So Rebecca has a couple search targets in this deck, being Sabo, Elizabello, Bastardo, and Barrier. Just being able to search out your blocker, your end goal. Most of the time you don't grab this early game, you just let it go to the trash and pull it back off of Moria later. Being able to search Bastardo to be able to pop stuff, because most of the time on like turn 3 or 4, we're on 15 cards or more in the trash already, so you can pop 6s. With Perona, that's a 7, so that makes it really good. And then Barrier, like I said, most of the time on turn 3 or 4, we're on 15 cards in trash already, so this is just Rad Beam at that point. That makes Rebecca really, really good in here, being able to grab one card to get some advantage and then shove the rest in the trash. Elizabello, like I said, kind of one of the win cons here, just being able to hit very big and very hard. That's the goal. Big, funny hit, make you laugh, haha. We're on 3 copies of Nefeltari Cobra, and maybe this could be replaced with Barto, the 3-cost Barto for Dressrosa being searchable and stuff, and a 2K. I think that would help a lot, but this is just a 2-cost blocker that also lets you trash the top card of your deck. So I've done plays where I've gone Moria, and I bring this back active and the Ryuma rested to pop something, and then they don't run over the Ryuma. Even if they try, I have a blocker, and I got to trash a card, so not bad, but I do think that we could maybe replace this with something better. We're on 4 copies of Anupe, 2-drop 3K, 1000 counter, on play and KO. If your leader has Thriller Bark Pirates, you draw 2 and trash 2 from your hand. Just helps you cycle early game. 4 copies of Kamachi. Like I said, we just make this idiot really, really big, and it's really, really funny. 4 copies of Gecko Moria. Of course, you got to play this to be able to bring back your bodies and hope you get that extra recursion. We're on 4 copies of the Spider Monkey, which is a 2-drop 3K with 1000 counter. On play and on KO, trashes the top 3 card of your deck. So you could play this, maybe get a swing in it. If they kill it, you're already at 6 extra cards in your trash. That's hilarious. And then our turn 1 ideal play, we go second, is having either double Sindri in hand or Sindri and Rebecca or double Rebecca so that we can get our trash started. This just, if you have Thriller Bark Pirates type, trashes the top 5 cards of your deck. So being able to do that and then also get a search to replenish some of your hand is very, very good. Like I mentioned, we're on 4 copies of Bastardo. With your leader effect, this becomes popping a 5 or a 7 very, very quickly. And then also 3 copies of Barrier. This is basically just Rad Beam in this deck. Like I said, this deck is hilarious. It's very fun. If you have something like this built or a similar list, or you've thought of something like this, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you like this kind of content, if you're liking the deep dives, if you're liking the market watches, or if you're new here and you've never checked out my channel, make sure to go check out the rest of my videos and give me a subscribe. It really helps me out if you like this kind of content. It lets me know to keep making it and to keep going harder on this kind of content. Also, liking the video helps a lot too. So I recommend trying this list out for yourself. It's really dumb, it's really funny, and you're gonna get some people to laugh with it. So if you could pull it off right, it's really funny seeing this stupid bear swing for like 15,000 and also making this guy just punch really, really hard. So that's gonna round out the deep dive for today. Like I said, check back tomorrow for the budget builder episode on Perona, where we take that list for the budget builders and we go and try to win a couple games with it. So yeah, like I said, if you like this content, like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Make sure to check out Dueling Guard in the description below and use code GumGumTCG. And also, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.